Once upon a time, in a small, sleepy town called Brooksville, there lived a young boy named Elijah. He was 15 years old, bright-eyed and full of dreams, but life hadn't always been kind to his family. His father, Samuel, had been struggling for years to keep their small, family-run bakery afloat. Elijah's mother, Clara, worked long hours as a nurse, but even with both of them working tirelessly, the family often found themselves living paycheck to paycheck. For as long as Elijah could remember, they had prayed for a breakthrough. His parents would gather him and his younger sister, Lily, every night before bed, and they would pray together, asking for something, anything, that would lift them from the struggles that seemed to swallow them whole. But no matter how hard they worked, or how deeply they prayed, the breakthrough never came. One crisp autumn day, as Elijah made his way home from school, he noticed a man sitting on the side of the road near the bakery. The man looked to be in his late 40s, dressed in a worn-out jacket and with a scruffy beard. His eyes were downcast, and there was a sense of sadness in the way he sat. He was holding a sign that read, "Hungry, please help." Elijah didn't have much himself, just a few coins in his pocket from his lunch money, but he felt a stirring in his heart. Something about the man's defeated posture tugged at him, and without overthinking it, he pulled out the coins and approached the stranger. "Hey, sir, I don't have much, but I hope this helps," Elijah said as he handed the coins to the man. The man looked up at him, his tired eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, young man," the stranger said with a raspy voice. "May the universe bless you for your kindness." Elijah smiled, nodded, and turned to walk away, but something made him stop. The man's gaze seemed to follow him, and then he called out softly, "Wait a moment, boy. I've seen many faces in this town, but you have a good heart." Elijah turned back, a little taken aback. I don't know what you mean." "I'm not just anyone," the stranger said, standing up with surprising energy for a man who had seemed so beaten. "I know a thing or two about your family, Elijah. I know what they've been going through." Elijah froze. How could the man know about his family? He hadn't told anyone at school about their struggles. The man smiled faintly, as though reading Elijah's mind. "You think your prayers haven't been heard, but they have. You may not see it yet, but your acts of kindness will lead you to what you seek." With that, the stranger gave Elijah a piece of paper with a set of numbers written on it, numbers that seemed like a code. "Call this number tomorrow at noon," he instructed, "and tell them I sent you." Before Elijah could ask any more questions, the stranger turned and walked away down the street, disappearing into the crowd. The next day, curious and slightly skeptical, Elijah showed the piece of paper to his parents at breakfast. They were both puzzled, but Elijah couldn't shake the feeling that the stranger had meant something important by his words. After school, Elijah decided to call the number, as instructed. It rang for a few moments before a voice on the other end answered. "Hello, this is Charles Whittaker speaking. How may I help you?" My name is Elijah Davis. A stranger, gave me this number and told me to call," Elijah stammered, feeling unsure. There was a pause, and then the voice on the other end grew more serious. "Ah, yes, I see. The man you spoke to was Mr. Cartwright. I assume you're looking for an opportunity." Elijah felt his heart skip a beat. I don't know. I'm just trying to help my family. My dad's bakery is struggling, and we've been praying for a breakthrough." Charles Whittaker's tone softened. "Well, Elijah, it just so happens that we might have an opportunity for you. I suggest you come to my office tomorrow. I have something you might be interested in." The next day, Elijah stood nervously in front of a sleek building in the center of Brooksville. It was far grander than anything he'd ever seen. The doors were made of glass, and the lobby was filled with well-dressed individuals, most of whom looked far too busy to notice a young boy like him. When he approached the receptionist, she directed him to the elevator and told him to press the top floor. As Elijah made his way up to the top floor, he felt a mix of excitement and fear. What could a man like Charles Whittaker want with him? When he stepped off the elevator, a tall man with graying hair and a sharp suit greeted him. "Elijah, welcome," Charles Whittaker said with a warm smile. "I'm glad you made it." He led Elijah into a spacious conference room where a large wooden table sat at the center. "Please, take a seat." Elijah sat down hesitantly, and Charles didn't waste any time. Elijah, I know about your father's bakery. I've been following the business, and it's clear that you have a loyal customer base. What your family needs is not just a few more customers, but a way to expand your reach. Elijah's eyes widened. You want to help us? Charles nodded. In fact, I've been looking for a way to invest in businesses like your father's. I believe we can take your bakery to the next level, but it requires an investment, and in return, you'll need to partner with us in a new project. Elijah's mind raced as he tried to comprehend what was happening. This was the breakthrough they had been praying for, the opportunity that could change everything. But there was more. The investment was significant, and it would require the bakery to undergo several changes. Elijah's heart pounded as he realized the risk. Charles could sense his hesitation. Elijah, I know this is a lot to take in, but remember, it all started with a simple act of kindness. You helped a stranger when you didn't have to, and now it's time for your family to get the help they've needed. Elijah nodded, feeling the weight of the decision. He called his parents, and together they discussed the possibility. After careful consideration, they decided to accept Charles's offer. Months passed, and with Charles Whittaker's investment and guidance, the bakery flourished. They expanded their menu, offered delivery services, and even started a small online shop. The community rallied around them, and their prayers were answered in ways they had never imagined. The bakery soon became one of the most popular spots in town, known not just for its delicious pastries, but also for the story of how Elijah's act of kindness had led to the breakthrough they so desperately needed. And as for the stranger, the man who had set everything in motion, Elijah never saw him again, but every time he thought about it, he remembered his words. Your acts of kindness will lead you to what you seek. Elijah's family was forever grateful, not just for the financial help, but for the lesson they learned. That sometimes the smallest acts of gratitude could set off a chain of events that would change everything.